Here, and the microphone will be on for you. State your name for the record. First three are Nancy Newell, Steve Kynes, and Melanie Rosenbaum.
My name is Nancy Newell, and I've served the state of Oregon for 23 years. My capacity has been taking on free trade agreements like NAFTA concerning our water and whether it becomes a commodity. Also, I took on Enron with my good friend Robert McCullough, who lives in Portland. He was one that exposed their corruption after they had taken over Portland General Electric, and he discovered they had double books and they falsely cut off power to people in California and literally made some elderly people die. So I've worked on those cases and I've gone to the PUC. I have a lot of knowledge of multinational corruption in local areas and takeovers. And in this situation that we're in Portland and in Gresham is a result of a lot of that activity in our communities. So some of the answers to this is a recent book that Powell's Books had John Nichols and Robert McChesney in, and it's called People Get Ready to Fight Against the Jobless Economy, and it's a citizenless democracy. And today we're talking about democracy and how best to serve the needs of people like you and me. We're all connected, and if we don't act as a community, none of us will succeed in a healthy community. And these efforts can be done not only just trying to house people, but making it a democracy that truly has meaning. So we have to stop the West Coast Infrastructure Exchange on our water, which has already been taken over, and Ted Wheeler and Jules Bailey on the state level passed laws that now our water travels to Vancouver, Canada, and goes all the way down to California. And the infrastructure costs are all embedded in that West Coast Infrastructure, WCX.com. You might want to look into that because it really impacts whether people have money. And in the city of Detroit, that's in so much financial trouble, their water was cut off to the point where they could kill people. And we don't want to face those kind of problems, and we really should act now. Today is the time to act. So I'm also on the COAB, which is the oversight group that the judge made the city of Portland pay more attention to how police are responding to certain situations. And sometimes they're not given the tools to successfully act at some of these traumatic situations. There's a lot of trauma when people lose their homes. They've come up with answers. I participate in a group that does a mental health study, that they have systems now that trauma amongst vets, amongst people that have been homeless, can be reduced with some very skillful implementation of new practices instead of huge expenses of keeping people housed or medicated. So you might want to pay attention to that. I've got just a few more minutes left. But I hope council hears and listens to a lot of this because it makes it a lot easier, a lot less expensive, and money stays in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kynes.
Hi there. I'm Steve Kynes. I'm a pastor. I've been serving in Gresham, the homeless in Gresham for 20 years. And so I want to talk today about the agenda to pass the agenda about closing the woods. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page that closing the woods doesn't really have to do with the environmental area of the woods, because as the mayor said in his State of the City address, that he connected it to homelessness. So the issue is there room for homeless people in Gresham? That's really the question. And so I just want to say that I've seen the city try the strategy of pushing the homeless around, of harassing them, of ticketing them, and sometimes prosecuting them and sometimes just leaving the tickets lay for 20 years. And in those 20 years, the homeless in Gresham has grown 3 times as much. The strategy doesn't work. Continuing to trying to push homeless people to Gresham, or to Portland, sorry, it is not a strategy that works. It has never worked for Gresham. It will not work now. We need to, in order to solve homelessness, we need to talk to real, live homeless people. We need to talk to them about what their issues are. In fact, if we go over to 194th South of Powell, you look over there right now, and you'll see that they have bags and they have trash pickup, and they're cleaning up that area. The homeless that are cleaning up that area because they have the opportunity to. I would just want to say right now, on the other hand, for sweeps, this last October, there's a gal named Eugenia. She was disabled. She had three dogs. She was told not correctly, but she was told by a Gresham police officer that she was excluded from the city of Gresham for 30 days. By the time that those 30 days were up, she had passed away on the property of Salvation Army because the stress of having to move just really applied too much pressure for her disability. It is time for Gresham to recognize the homeless are citizens and to treat them as such, helping them with their goals to survive and to improve their lives. Gresham is acting like an abusive father who beats his children, hoping to force them to behave, kicks them out, and yet the children have no other home, so they keep coming back. It's time for Gresham to grow up and be a real city. It is a city that assists all their citizens, not just a few. Gresham right now has services for some of their poor, but they do not have the services that they deserve. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I am one of those homeless that Steve kind of talks about, and I honestly am coming to you today to have you listen to my voice and hear me out for a second. These sweeps, they're not working. The cops are coming out. They're being rude. They're cutting tents. They're forcing us to leave areas that we have every right to be in as well. I know that some of us are not the best of role models, but I know the majority of us would like a chance to show you guys that we can be citizens of the city. I am a citizen of the city. Like I said last week when I was here, I have been here pretty much 17 years of my life, and I look forward to every morning waking up in the city of Gresham. I would want my mayor and my city council to be on my side, knowing that you guys support us in being homeless, whether it's by a choice or whether it's not by a choice, and you guys help the majority of us up off the streets with either a hand out, not with a hand out, excuse me, a hand up. We need the supplies that Steve talks about with the homeless people that are cleaning up the camps. I walk the bike path almost every day, and I pick up trash. And I go about my own areas, my own camp that I have. I keep it clean, and I keep it going. I feel that you guys are, not you guys in direct, let me rephrase that. The cops are targeting, and with the sweeps, it makes it difficult for the majority of us. He was talking about Eugenia. She was a dear friend of mine. We lost her way too soon and way too early due to the stress and the environment that she was living in. I have been homeless before, and it's not due to personal choices. Like I said last week, we're all a paycheck away from being homeless. You guys are as well. You never know what you're gonna wake up to tomorrow morning. You don't know if you're gonna wake up and not be able to move your legs and not make it into work. You don't know that. You might not be able to pay your bills, your home mortgage, anything, and you would be out here with us. Would we treat you guys any way different just because you're a city council member and you're coming out onto the streets and being homeless? No, we wouldn't. We would treat you with dignity and with respect like the rest of us do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next three are Michael Davis, David Davis, and David Miller.
Okay, my name is Michael Davis, Director of Knowing Me Ministries. We advocate for the homeless. We journey with them from the time that we find them on the streets and journey with them through to the end where they have stable lives again. We work both in Gresham and Portland, and somewhat in Clackamas County as well. Me and my family have been homeless in the past as well, so we're not just speaking from observing the homeless, but we've lived that journey as well. It disturbs us when we have to spend half of our time hunting for homeless people that we're working with because the police have moved them. What happens a lot of times is we get appointments set up for people, we have deadlines we have to meet, and even deadlines for housing, and then we've seen people miss those deadlines and get put at the bottom of the list again for housing because the police came and moved them before they were able to reach that deadline. And so we're asking that the city of Gresham take a different route than what Portland and other cities have done and actually step up and be the model of how to create a win-win situation. One of the things we like to do in our ministry is to take those who are housed and set up meetings with the homeless and just have them talk to each other, get to know each other. And what happens from that is the neighbors end up being very excited and actually understanding more of who the homeless are living in neighborhoods, and then they get on board and actually journey with those people as well. And then what happens is people are able to be stabilized and then become engaged citizens again. Many of the volunteers in our organization are people who were in addictions. They were people that you would find in the camps. We were able to help them get stabilized and get the resources they need. They got their life back on track, and now they're serving with us, helping others. And I would love to see that in Gresham. Rather than building fences, I'd like to see us build bridges. And this vote on the fence, I would love to see a unanimous turning down of that fence so that we can create win-wins. Another thing that we do